Dr. Helen Pensanti. Today, we're going to be talking about women's issues, specifically the different stages of life that women go through where they need a little help with some natural hormones. I don't have to tell my audience, because I know many people live through it, where synthetic hormones by the National Institutes of Health back in 2002 declared that synthetic hormones was causing breast cancer. In fact, a 45% increased risk of breast cancer. I had been on a national television show as well as Sirius XM radio and many other television stations that I was on since 1985, warning people to get off synthetic hormones. In those days, it was new. People hadn't even heard the word natural progesterone. And so I almost became an activist for the cause. But jumping up now to the 21st century and the year 2022, I will tell you how I divide women into groups. I divide them into 4 groups. If you're 18 to 40, I call that the PMS group. All right, what do we do for the PMS group? Usually what happens is you will have about 2 weeks where you're feeling really good. As you get to ovulation mid-month, you will start maybe the day after getting a little bit depressed. You withdraw from people. You might have a short temper. You might start eating everything and binge eating, swelling. You start retaining fluid. And the day before your menses, you might have a fight with someone because you're jumping out of your skin. That's PMS, premenstrual syndrome. And what I do for that is I put women on a natural progesterone only. There is no estrogen given to that age group. If you are taking something over the counter in not a pharmacy, but a health food store, and that has any estrogen products in it, and you're between the ages of 18 and 40, you are in trouble of giving yourself 2 periods a month. And I'm sure you would not like that. So be careful about estrogen products. I also have something on my website at www.askdrhelen.com. That's askdrhelen.com. You can go to the latest information. There's a place to click, and it will have a list of all the foods and different things that have estrogen in them, because you want to make sure that you're not taking extra estrogen, because you're too young. You make your own estrogen. You do not want to swallow estrogen. You will have all those symptoms will be in chaos. So we only want to be on natural progesterone. How do I train the girls to take it? I have them count their cycle. So your cycle is different from a calendar cycle. Your cycle is the first day that you start your period is your day 1. You count up to day 12. You rub on a 1/4 teaspoon, which is about a pea size. I have people rub it into their inner thighs. I used to have them rub it on their wrists, but what are we doing now? We're rubbing this hand sanitizer all over our hands, and so you can't mix it with any kind of hand lotion or hand sanitizer, so I figure the safest place is the inner thigh. You do that twice a day until day 26. You stop it, and you start the cycle all over again. What does that do? It's going to, within a month or 2, you will not have the depression. You will not have the feeling like you're jumping out of your skin. You will not have the anger and the snapping at people when they say, is something wrong with you? No. That will be gone because you will be recycled with the proper amount of progesterone, and you should, within 2 months, not even have one symptom. In my experience, I have been selling these products, natural hormone products, since I think 1989. And, you know, people say, well, does it work? Does it work? I wouldn't be in business if it didn't work, because everybody would send it back and want a refund. So for me to have been in business for over 30 years, it works. So that's that age group, and those are those symptoms. Now we're going to go on to age 40 to 48. This is my second group. Age 40 to 48, I call, and medicine calls, perimenopausal. So what does that mean? That means you're not quite in menopause, but you're still not in the young phase, and things start happening. So maybe you just don't feel right. You're not yourself. Your PMS symptoms, you still have them, but you've added on some crying jags, and you've added on that something isn't right. Sometimes people have hot flashes at this age, very few though. Some people do get the night sweats where they feel chilled, but that's a small number. Still, again, I keep that group on only natural progesterone, only. You still make enough estrogen in your ovaries at that age until you're 48, and by adding any estrogen into it, you're going to put into turmoil your natural cycle that you go through as a female. So if a doctor is giving you estrogen or birth control pills or anything, and I will have to say, I'm sorry to say this to the people that are on birth control pills, but the studies are now showing that those synthetic birth control pills show a high risk of getting breast cancer, the same as the synthetic estrogens that I had been harping on for all those years. Get off those synthetic estrogens. Birth control pills now, they're coming out and saying you're going to have the same problems down the road. So you might want to think about it if you have a family history of breast cancer, if you have a family history of any reproductive organ disease like ovarian cancer, uterine cancer, you might want to choose a different type of birth control. All right, now we get into the over 48 to 60. And this is where it gets real dicey here, because we're going into some serious symptoms. And not to say that PMS doesn't have serious symptoms, because believe me, it does, and it's ruined marriages, it's ruined romance, it's ruined relationships. I've had people who were in the PMS group where they came in and they said, my husband's going to divorce me if I don't get some help. And we would get rid of all that stuff. But now we're going into the 48 to the 60. And what happens? Hot flashes. So you see this woman going, is it hot in here? Is it hot in here? Hot flashes, night sweats. They talk about how they put the blanket on, they take the blanket off because they start getting cold, then they start getting hot, and so all night. And the night sweats can be really bad. I've had patients say, I had to get up and change my sheets. You can imagine in the middle of the night ripping your sheets off to your husband, could you please get out of bed? I need to change the sheets because they're soaking wet from the amount of sweat. And vaginal dryness, low sex drive, no sex drive. And just this, what's happening to me. And of course, husbands being, or significant others being, loving the person and trying to help them through it. But, all the sayings of you could love a woman, but you're not going to understand them. That's what the men are going through. Like, what's she going through? So what do I do in this age group, this third group now that we're in, 48 to 60? I give them a combination of natural progesterone, natural estrogen, and in some cases, natural testosterone. So we're going to put that natural testosterone to the side for a minute, and let's just talk about the combination of natural progesterone and natural estrogen. Now, I don't start this on anyone unless you have not had a menses for a year. You are not in official medical menopause until you have been without a menses for a year. Okay, so say this is you. You would then be taking 1/4 teaspoon of the combination. You would rub it in your inner thighs, a pea size in the morning, a pea size in the evening, every single day. You don't have to count days because you want that every single day, twice a day, every day. And what that will do is the hot flashes will be gone, the night sweats will be gone, the vaginal dryness will be gone, the insomnia will be helped. I have women who say, I had the first night's sleep that I've had, I can't remember the last time I slept through the night. You'll be able to sleep through the night. You will have a sex drive back. And for those who that combination of cream, the natural estrogen and the natural progesterone takes away most of it, but some patients come back and they say, still don't have a sex drive. Then I add a natural testosterone, and that will usually kickstart it pretty good. And so that is for that group. Now, what else happens in that group? We have to be very careful once we add estrogen that you do not have a family history of breast cancer, you do not have a family history of ovarian cancer, you do not have a history of uterine cancer or anything like that. It doesn't matter about colon cancer and the other cancers because the estrogen isn't affecting it, but any female reproductive part is what I'm talking about, because then you can only do the natural progesterone. If you're in the 48 to 60 group and you have, your mother died of ovarian cancer or your grandmother had breast cancer, I keep you in the progesterone only group, just for safety. All right, now we're getting into the age of 60 to 100. Okay, so usually this group, the patients are worried about osteoporosis. They've gone through menopause, they don't have the hot flashes, they don't have the night sweats, they don't have the vaginal, well, they might have the vaginal dryness, but they pretty much are done with the, I'll call it chaos of menopause. And they've seen their grandmother bent over, they've seen their grandmother lose 4 inches of height, they've seen their mother starting to bend over, and they're thinking, is this going to be me? What I do for them is make sure that they're on a good bone formula of calcium, all the minerals. In fact, I even suggest, you can go to a health food store and buy liquid minerals. We have 94 minerals and trace minerals that we know about on the earth. I'm sure there's more that humans haven't discovered yet, but as of today, there's 94 minerals and trace minerals that we've identified. You can buy a bottle of minerals, for $7, I think I saw one, and take a half a teaspoon every day, and you're getting, you're replacing any mineral that you may not have eaten in food. So, but a good bone formula with all the minerals and vitamins that they know grow new bone. Growing new bone. What grows new bone? Natural progesterone grows new bone. Natural estrogen makes it strong. In about 2006, I was writing a book about osteoporosis, and I came across a study by the Mayo Clinic, and they had done it in 1956, and I think another one in 59. And what they did was they got their menopausal patients, osteoporosis patients, and they knew that they were very severe osteoporosis. And they gave them calcium, but they also added strontium. Well, I thought this was very interesting because when I was in medical school, no one said the word strontium. I said, what? What is this? And I started reading this study, and they had a 60%, you could go Google it for yourself. You type in Mayo Clinic 1956 study with calcium and strontium, and also there's one in 1959. You could read it for yourself. They had a 60% increase in bone density by just adding those two minerals together. But you cannot swallow them together. Why? Calcium is the biggest mineral. So it's like a bus, a giant metropolitan bus, you know, the biggest vehicle going down the street. Strontium is like a VW bug, and they're both trying to go down the same lane. What's going to happen? The bus is going to kick strontium, to the curb. So I always suggest to the patients, take your strontium in the morning, take calcium at night because it will help you sleep. So that's what I do for my patients. And what have I found by doing that? I have found that the patients that had severe osteoporosis, which is usually in medical terms a minus 2.5, they would revert to what's called osteopenia, which is you're almost to osteoporosis. Those that had osteopenia reverted to normal. And I have never had one patient since 2006 call me up, email me, send me a letter, whatever, that said it didn't work. The only ones that were kind of bad would say, I went in for another bone scan and I'm the same. Well, that's victory too. You aren't getting worse. But usually every single person improved. So I'm a firm believer in strontium. One of the things that I will mention is that in the early days when I put them on strontium and they would go to their local, because it was national, and they would go to their doctor, say in Mississippi, the doctor would always say something like, well, that causes blood clots. Well, there is a situation that happened after the Mayo Clinic did their study. And the situation was that the pharmaceutical companies saw the study and said, aha, we're going to make a synthetic out of the strontium, so we have a patent. So they patented it. And that, called strontium rallinate, caused blood clots. And everybody freaked out, and they said, we can never have it anymore. The FDA banned it. It is still allowed in Europe, but it is a dangerous synthetic strontium. That is not what I'm giving my patients. I am giving them the mineral from the crust of the earth that the ocean digs up with the waves and brings it to shore, and we get to have salt and all the minerals from the crust of the earth right in the waves that God makes it real easy for us. We don't even, it comes right to shore. And so I'm not doing strontium rallinate. I'm not doing strontium 90 radioactive material blowing up a bomb in you. It's just a plain mineral from the crust of the earth. So that was one of the things that happened in the early days I wanted to share with you. So that will help with bone density. Okay, so now we have the 4 parts of how I divide women: the PMS group, the perimenopausal group, the menopausal group, and the osteoporosis group. But then there's another group. What if I've had a hysterectomy, doctor? What group do I fall in? Well, you could have a hysterectomy as young as 21. You could have a hysterectomy up to you're in your 90s. So that group is called surgical menopause. So you could be in your 20s and be a surgically menopausal patient. You could be in your 30s. You could be in 40s, 50s, 60s, all the way to 100. That group can take the combination of natural progesterone and natural estrogen, and you don't have to worry about anything because everything's gone. So we can do the combo, what I call the combination. I sound like a McDonald's or something, a combo. You get a drink with that. But it's a combination of natural progesterone and natural estrogen. All right, can a young woman take natural testosterone? Yes. Do they need it? Maybe. Natural testosterone, I don't put an age group on it. You know, it's not like I told you earlier where from 18 to 40 or even 18 to 50, I will not give anybody extra estrogen. I just will not do it. Maybe if they really have hot flashes, I will let them take it once a week, you know, where they go, doctor, I'm really suffering, please. I'll go, okay, just do it once a week, or something like that. The other thing we have to talk about is vaginal dryness. This is a big, big, big problem. For many years, I was on television, and I would be doing shows in different cities. So I'd either drive into the city or fly into the city. One funny story was I was on CNN, and my husband and my son were flying in to meet me in Atlanta. And as they were landing, they said, in the airplane was the television, and I was on it. My son was about 7 years old, and he goes, "Oh, Daddy, there's Mommy. She's on television." And they watched me as they were landing in Atlanta, which is a funny family story. But anyway, so I'm like all over the country. And one of the saddest things is, okay, so I was usually on early morning 6 a.m. shows, you know, so I'd have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, get dressed, and go to the studio and be on their morning show. And then I had the whole day to do nothing. You know, I was walking around going, now what do? I don't have to be till the next city till tomorrow and blah, blah, blah. And I'd, of course, go shopping. What else? What else do you do? So I'd find the nearest mall and I'd go shopping, and I'd see a woman and they'd come up and they'd say, "Are you Dr. Pensanti?" And I'd say, "Yes." And they would say, "Can I talk to you privately?" And they would take me to to a corner away from where people were walking very privately, and they'd say, "I really need help with vaginal dryness. I think my husband is going to divorce me and find a younger woman." Well, this is a big problem. This is a serious, serious problem, because as women age, it's the difference of being a pillow to being a piece of plywood. I mean, you know, you want to be the best that you can be. And so I would say, don't worry, I can fix it. I can fix the tissues. We can thicken those tissues up with natural progesterone and natural estrogen. You're going to be good to go. I also have vaginal suppositories that will work. Don't worry, you do not have to take synthetic hormones. There is help. But it was so sad to see the looks on these women's faces. They would have been married like 30 years, 35 years. And all of a sudden, their husband is going, excuse me, hello, remember me? You know, and so we can bring them back. And the other thing that is another serious problem is the sex drive. Because it's one thing to have sex with your husband, it's another thing to initiate it. And they miss that, being able to initiate it themselves. And so that's where the natural testosterone comes in and kickstarts it. And so I hope that helps you. So in review, we've got actually now five different sections. We have 18 to 40 is PMS, that is progesterone only. We have the group from 40 to 48, that is perimenopausal. That is progesterone only, although I do throw in a little testosterone. And then from 48 to 60, that's full-blown menopause. That is a combination of progesterone and estrogen and maybe some testosterone. And then the osteoporosis patient, progesterone, natural progesterone, estrogen, and calcium and strontium and all the minerals. And then the fifth group is surgical menopause. You get the whole combination. You get anything. You get to have the whole enchilada. So I hope that helps you. Please visit me at my website, www.askdrhelen.com. There's a lot of information there. I have on the left side, it's sort of like a book with chapters. And if you want a lot of research, you click the latest information and tests, and then will come up, 50 or 60 just information, like if you have bladder issues. I've got something called parsley tea that will take away that urgency and frequency and the pain before you can get to a doctor and get some help. It's just loaded with information, 30 years of information, as a matter of fact. So I hope I can help you with your problem, and please feel free to email me at hp@askdrhelen.com. I know I can help you. I've been doing this for over 30 years, and I've helped thousands of people all over the United States, and I know that I can help you. So I'm Dr. Helen Pensanti, wishing you the very best of natural health. Please okay, because